Welcome back to the Kyle Olson Show. A documentary came out last year chronicling the disturbing battle that is playing out on campuses across the country where, at least in leftist minds, words equal violence. The director of that documentary, titled No Safe Spaces, is Justin Folk, and he joins me now. So, Justin, what are the origins of this movement where words equal violence and can be met with physical violence?
Well, Kyle, a disturbing trend started on campus a number of years ago, and it's been building ever since. And it's this idea that if I disagree with you, you don't get to speak. And it first started on college campuses. That's where we first, saw it taking place in the most, real terms, in the most dangerous ways. Whether it was at UC Berkeley or a number of those campuses, if somebody would come to campus with ideas that some of these students didn't share, they would attempt to shut them down. And unfortunately, that idea, that notion of you don't get to speak, we as a mob decide, has proliferated into the rest of society. And here we are today with this problem that began on campuses but is now everywhere. And everybody's at threat here. I mean, whether you're a place of work, whether no matter who you are, it can come for you. And that's what the movie No Safe Spaces talks about. Unfortunately, the film is becoming more and more relevant by the day.
But what is the root of that? I mean, you say it started in Berkeley. Was it a professor? Was it a student group? What's sort of the root of that mentality?
Well, I think part of it has to do with the fact that liberals, older liberals, the people that believed in freedom of speech, the right to freedom of expression, the right that you may not agree with me, but I still support your right to speak. That got supplanted by the new left. And when the new left, and the old liberals didn't do enough to stand up against this. And you see it all over the place. You see, even at the New York Times, for example, recently, older liberals that used to be in the editorial department are now stepping down because they've given way to this new leftist totalitarian idea that we are right, and anybody that's against us is evil, essentially. This started on campuses a number of years ago, and the liberal professors and administrations did nothing to quell it, or at least nothing to explain that, hey, we need to tolerate different opinions. And as it ran its course, and these students, these leftist students that believe this, have gone off from their campuses, and they now hold positions at tech companies and in editorial departments around the nation and the media. And they've brought that idea with them that we are the righteous mob. And if you don't agree with this, you don't have a right to speak. So I believe that this was taught or allowed to be taught on these campuses a number of years ago. And now we're seeing the fruits of that.
Interesting. So why do these academics think they need to protect students who are adults from different ideas?
I don't know, because it doesn't do them any good. It doesn't strengthen them for the long term. And in our film, we actually have some liberals in our movie that talk about this. Van Jones, for example, he is not a conservative, but he warns about this exact thing. And he says, hey, listen, specifically to liberals, you need to be challenged. You need other ideas to push you so that you're stronger in your own ideas. And so I don't know why this sort of coddling mentality or the coddling approach was employed by administrations and professors. I don't know why they chose to go down this route, but ultimately it's a dangerous route, and it leads to weaker individuals, and it leads to less discussion, and ultimately it leads to not even being able to solve problems or discuss ideas. So I don't know why professors and administrations went this route. Maybe they didn't want to offend the students. Technically, the students there are their customers. It became, campuses have changed over the years, where it's more of a customer relationship instead of, hey, we're going to teach you. We're going to have an open marketplace for ideas. It became about serving the students' wishes. So maybe that's a glimpse of why this occurred. But in any case, like I said, it's dangerous, and it's come to the rest of America.
Well, and that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that before, where you have students in Berkeley, et cetera, sort of marinated in that whole belief. And if someone has an alternative opinion to them, well, then that person is racist or they're fascist or they're a Nazi or they're sexist or whatever it is. And then suddenly those individuals are in a corporate setting and they're bringing that mindset to that corporate setting, whether it's a social media company or it's a, one of these major organizations where suddenly you've got individuals walking out and they're protesting and about, corporate rules or whatever it may be. Is there a way to sort of unwind that and say, no, that's not the way we should be doing things? And is that, how exactly do you do that?
Well, I certainly hope we can unwind it because it's crucial for a free society to be able to openly talk about ideas. I think one of the best assets that we have is our comedians. And actually, it's the comedians that have been the first ones to push back on this idea because it affects their job. I mean, if they can't tell jokes, if they can't speak truth where they see it, there's a lot of truth in comedy, and sometimes there's a lot of uncomfortable truth. But you've noticed that this movement is incredibly humorless. And if I think we have any hope, it's that people will get tired of this humorless, outraged mentality that's just constantly outraged, constantly calling somebody a bigot or a racist just because they have a joke, just because they have a different point of view. I hope people grow tired of that. It's humorless. It's undemocratic. And thank God for the comedians who are speaking out about this. Guys like Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Adam Carolla, who are pointing out that if you can't tell jokes, democracy dies. Ideas die. And so I hope people grow tired of this humorless leftist ideology of you're a racist, you're a bigot, we don't like your ideas, shut up, go away. And they can't take a joke anymore. There's
a very funny Seinfeld episode. It was one of I think it was probably episode or season 5 or 4 maybe, the handicap spot. And they make jokes about, handicap drivers and all of that kind of thing. They could never make that today. NBC would never allow that to air. It's interesting. What sort of fight are you seeing amongst those comedians? And do you think the Dave Chappelles or the Jerry Seinfelds or the Adam Carollas, are they able to sort of shift and move the needle when it comes to that? Or are they sort of an outlier today?
I think they're able to move the needle better than anybody, comedians, because we love our comedians. We love to laugh. We love to be entertained. And when we lose that, when we realize that we've lost it, I think that's when people are going to be really upset. You can have your politicians and your people in the media ringing the gong all day long about this topic. But it isn't until Dave Chappelle or Jerry Seinfeld says, I'm done going to college campuses. I'm done telling jokes. And we're going to realize, just like you mentioned, all the great comedy and all the great art that was made before can't be made today. And instead, we're going to get this regurgitated, politically correct tripe that is going to be the same thing over and over and over. Virtue signaling. This is the right way. If you don't agree with this, then you are evil. You are bad. And it's going to make for bad art. It's going to make for bad entertainment. It's going to make for just no laughter, no fun. And I hope people will grow tired of that.
What was the reaction to your movie, No Safe Spaces?
Well, we had a great reaction. On Rotten Tomatoes, we have a 99% audience rating, it was the highest for any film in 2019. So the people that see the movie love the movie. Now, the critic review was about half and half, as can be expected. But there were a lot of liberal critics that were able to admit, hey, this is a good and important film. So we were really pleased with the reaction to the movie. We just hope more Americans get to see it.
How can they see it?
Well, it's available on several home entertainment platforms right now. It's on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, a number of others, and the DVD is available as well. So people can watch it at home, and people can share it with their friends. So if they really want to find all the different places, they can go to nosafespaces.com, and there's links there to take you to the different platforms to watch the film.
Great. Well, Justin Folk, director of No Safe Spaces, nosafespaces.com. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Appreciate it.